exonerees, 70% black. Hmm? Black people used to be, well, overtly framed for crimes they never committed. Like it was a thing, right? All through the 1900s. All through the 1900s. This is, I'm talking about while I was still alive. Hmm? What do you call that? Why black people? Why black people? Why would the system, why would the justice system do that to black people? Is it racism? And if the system perpetrated this, would there not be systemic racism? I don't know. You tell me. Still happens to this day. Central Park 5. But, because the media likes to exploit it now and co-opt racism, it doesn't exist. Right? Because the media uses it to push a narrative. Right. Got it. Here's something that boggles my mind. Right? Certain individuals like to talk about how Democrats are the real racists, right? Democrats are the racists. Okay, let's talk about that. And this is the narrative they push to get black people to quit the Democratic Party and go over to the Republican Party. Their red pill moment, right? Their walk away moment. Okay, let's talk about. I agree that a lot of these leftist Democrats, right, are racist in their own way, right? They have this paternalistic racism that is damaging to the black community because it's like they feel like because they're superior and we're inferior to them, they have to take care of us. They know what's best for us. So they know what to do and how we're supposed to operate. We're supposed to, I agree with that. Yes, paternalism. That's a whole nother dangerous form of racism, right? Well, let's talk about that. These people that say systemic racism doesn't exist, well, they'll tell you that the Democratic Party and Democratic ran governments, right? Like in places like LA or Chicago, they don't really care about black people. They want black people to stay in a state of, like downtrodden communities. You know what I'm saying? That's where most of the downtrodden communities are, right? For black people in democratic cities and democratic states where they're taught to depend on the government, right? They a lot of them are on financial aid, this, that, and the third, right? And it's really like creating this level of dependence on the government by black people to keep black people down, to keep them easily controlled so they can use them for voting power or constituency power, right? To have those electoral votes, right? The more constituents you have in a certain region that'll vote for you, the more power you have, right? You get those electoral votes. You get more seats in the Congress and get more seats in the Senate, and you have control. You can push whatever bills you want to push. Okay, let's go with that. Isn't that a system? That's a system, I believe. And paternalism toward black people, where you think you're superior to these black people, and so you feel like you know what's best for them, and they're your little puppies. Form of racism, isn't it? So you're talking about a system of government that is mostly controlled by white people, right? Or where the leaders of that system are essentially white, right? Like Nancy Pelosi, say, Chuck Schumer, people like that, They're part of a system, right? Well, that paternalism is a form of racism towards black people. Let's see. Let's put those two together. System, racism. Let's see. What do you call that? Maybe we call it systemic racism. I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. I was born yesterday. Jeez, man. Man, the more I think about it, the more I think systemic racism exists in this country. Yeah. And let's see this. A system that would perpetuate racism between different factions of the proletariat class, right? The lower class, right? That would to create division. Well, if you perpetuate and push the narrative of racism, if a system is doing that, one could argue that that's a form of racism in and of itself, perpetrated by the system. Systemic racism. Now, I have a couple of honorable mentions. Like the judge, I believe in New York, who sold thousands of juveniles to the prison industrial complex, got caught. Most of them people of color. Why mostly people of color? Well, one could argue that's racism. Yeah. If the justice system punishes black folks harsher than they punish white folks for the same crimes, that's racism, whether you're saying nigger or not. Okay? See, that's the thing. Most people think you have to say nigger for there to be no, that's not how it works. Calling people the N-word, that's not racism. No. That's not the racism I'm talking about. I believe it was in Florida. A forensic specialist that works for the system got caught falsifying 2,000 urine samples, right, for black folks on probation and things like that. Parole, probation, you got to go through piss test and drugs test and all that shit. And if you get caught hot, then you got to go back to jail. 2,000 black people by this one forensic specialist who was part of a system. She got caught. But if she was able to commit that act 2,000 times, something had to enable her to do that, right? You think she got away with doing that many times and no one else knew about it? Or is it just because she got caught and she was the fall girl? Another honorable mention for you. Recent. Does systemic racism exist in this country? Fuck yeah. Does that mean that black people aren't killing other black people? No. So that's what they like to do. Black people kill 98% of people that die. Black people that die killed by 95%. Okay, that's a separate issue. Okay, that's another issue. Yeah, people are working on that. Yes, black people are killing black people in impoverished communities. White people are killing white people in impoverished communities. Hispanics are killing Hispanics in impoverished communities. And then there's some crossover sometimes. But that's a socioeconomic issue. And it's just unfortunate that black folks were pushed into these impoverished states, right? Into these impoverished communities long ago. Deliberately, right? This is known as well. I mean, come on. This is known. Challenge me. Go ahead. I challenge you to present any information that goes against that, right? The projects and all that. These communities, these downtrodden, impoverished communities that are mostly habitated by black people, that was systemically done. That was done deliberately, like decades ago, right? As part of a plan to keep black people down. That's just a reality, right? That's where the war on drugs came from, right? That's what happened when they put crack in the neighborhoods, the CIA, in black neighborhoods. Yeah, black people participated in the bullshit, but the system, well, they brought that shit into the communities. Yeah. But that's a whole nother story, right? Anyway. Like, share, subscribe, or don't. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section, and I'll holler at y'all later, all right? Peace.